All right, guys, we are on the sky hook, so you can see through the drone shots that I'm taking right now. We've actually got tide running through here, and we're just going to complete an exercise that I think could be the one of the primary points for you to be considering looking at a boat like this as opposed to an inboard boat, because we have all the comforts that you are maybe used to enjoying on your big inboard boat, if that's the direction you're coming from, but we are of the same quality, if not better, than so much of the competition. So if you're stepping up from a smaller boat moving up, this is going to compete fairly with some of the best marks out there and the comforts that we've got available to us. But what we can do on this boat that we cannot do on others is get in very close to shore. So that's what we're going to practice and show you right now. So what we're doing, we've got tide flowing from this direction and to that direction, and we also have a little bit of wind. I've clued up the boys, so Chris is on the bow, Bailey's on the stern. I'm going to be going into the shallow water as close as we can. We have already done a test run to check the depth on the sounder. Then we're going to drop the bow anchor, release, wait till the bow is set, and then we will deploy the stern anchor in the shallows. So I'm going to confirm, take control, and alrighty, just gonna do a little test thrust of the bow thruster, so that's still on. So I've got the engines trimmed up, so if we do end up touching the sand, we will touch the hull and not the motors. We've got 2.6 meters just here at the moment. And I'm using the reference point of the sand hill just here, which is my reference point. Hopefully you can see that on the drone. You can. And we'll get in a little bit closer. So do bear in mind that when you are operating with the engines trimmed up, you're going to have less thrust and control. So you always want to do a practice run, get used to how the throttles behave. Okay, that's probably good there. So I'm going to start dropping the anchor, Chris. I've just got a bit of reverse thrust on there, letting the tide. Okay, we'll just wait till she catches on. We'll just see what the anchor does. We've got some movement here. You'll probably see this on the drone. You can. Okay, there she's grabbing. Excellent. So now what we might do, I'll start to accelerate in reverse and slowly bring us into the beach. And when we reach the nice position, so you may want to, depending on where we are, release a little bit more chain. And then when we get close and we're safe, you can deploy the stern anchor, and we'll just pick that best spot, Bailey. So what I'm going to do, mate, I want you to have a good close eye on the props. So now I'm just going to start reversing in. And I just want you looking for any dangers, anything that's going to affect the props. We're just pulling on our chain now and hopefully pulling us in to what we believe could be the best spot. I've still got 1.5 meters below the keel. 1.3 meters there, so that's probably getting to my limits. 1.2 meters. 1 meter. Mate, I think you can get ready to deploy. So we've deliberately positioned. When you're ready, mate, you can deploy. Excellent. So we deliberately lowered down the starboard wing because we decided that this is a safer place to swing and deploy an anchor from as opposed to the back platform. Whilst we've got a lot of space there, you could raise it and deploy it again if you want. We were simulating, if you were asking a partner to deploy that for you, just going to a little bit more trim up, you don't want them to have to think too hard. So the less worry that your partner has to go through, the better. And if they were here and swinging an anchor, they might hit the motors, and we don't want them to do that. Beauty, mate. All right, I reckon I can turn these engines off. So now we're sort of solid, set in position. We can dress the boat and get ready for a fun afternoon. All right, guys, we've got 1,580 litres of petrol on board. I'm going to run you through the fuel flows, the speeds. We'll talk about how comfortable she feels at different speeds. Please enjoy the backgrounds. It's an amazing day today. We do have some wildlife in the water, so I've asked the boys to have a second set of eyes ahead and around for me in case anything surfaces. We've seen dolphins, we've seen turtles, we've seen stingrays, birds, so there's a bit going on. I don't want to run over any of it, or crab pots. That's the intention. Keep it safe and fun. And yeah, we're just going to have a fun little ride. You guys come along for the drive. I've got the windows open at the moment. I've got the sunroof closed. I'm going to probably do active trim on manual, but I'll tell you when I'm doing auto versus manual. We're currently just consuming a total fuel flow of 30 litres at 1,850 RPM, and we've got a speed through the water of about 6.5, nudging on 7 knots. So that's definitely displacement speed. Not making too much in the way of offensive wash. Noise levels on this boat, having done a little bit of driving on it already today, very low. This hull is wonderful. Really, really nice hull, but we're just going to get her up on the plane. We'll get moving. Window open. I will close the window at some point. I just want to go to 22 knots first. Okay, we're up and moving, 5,500 RPM, 22 knots. I'm just putting a little bit of a trim down on the bow there, and I'm just going to settle the boat. And you know what? She really wants to go, this boat, because I'm actually already at 24 knots. So I'll reduce my speed a little bit, because I do want to show you a slow cruise before I get to the fast stuff. And sitting around about 23 knots there now, 200 litres total consumption, 4,150 RPM, a little bit of adjustment on the bow using the manual trim, and everything feels good. Super comfy. Okay, I'm going to keep running this a little bit longer. She wants to go faster, guys. It's definitely a faster hull. If you are comparing this to any of the European style boats that you see on my channel, this is more weight, more mass, more beam, and much more capability, in my opinion. Coming through at 4,550 RPM, 27 knots. So I'm going to start cutting into a turn now. We'll just do gradual at the moment. My visibility, even with a moderate heel, and now I'll increase it. I see some sea life in the water. So moderate heel and more aggressive heel. On the aggressive part of the turn, you've got to drop your head, but on the moderate part of the turn, you do not. I'm just coming through at sensible speeds right now, and I'll straighten that up a little bit. And now I'm going to increase my speed from 4,400 to 4,500 RPM. Just checking my nav. I'm not familiar with this area, so I'm just being extra careful. I will close this side window. See if we notice it's quite comfortable, to be fair. I'm at 31 knots now. I'm just going to drop that back to 29. Noise levels super low. Everything's very comfortable. And fuel consumption. Let me trim the boat out properly. So 31 knots there, 4,600 RPM, 220 litres to 240, and 31 knots. Let me trim up. Let me just have a little play. I'm clear on the nav. 33 knots. She wants to go fast. 270 litres, thereabouts at 33, I actually want to slow down because I was doing 29 knots at about 250 on the way over here, and it was super, super comfortable. So here we are, 29 to 30 knots, playing with my trim 4,500 RPM to 4,600 RPM. 29 knots, you can adjust your trim. We can do auto trim, obviously. I got 220 litres an hour. Fuel consumption is happy, but my communication with people around, like we were doing this on the way over here, we can all talk to each other and everyone's protected in terms of sun, in terms of wind. Now, think about that depending where you are in the world. I go to a lot of places, it's nice in the day, but it could get quite cold at the end of the day. So having the ability to close all this up changes the game. We've got real big boat feels, but let's increase that speed now, because this has the motion of a large boat, the speed of a smaller boat, and the fun factor, I'm going to do a turn in a second, of something somewhere in between. I've now increased it to 5,400 RPM. My fuel flow's over 300 litres an hour, but my speed return is 36 knots and climbing. I'm clear on the navigation, clear all around, don't see any animals. I'm going to cut in on a starboard turn. It's 37 knots, 5,470 RPM. I'll do one little trim up. There you go, I see 5,500, 37 and a half knots. My fuel flow, max fuel flow, 330 litres. And check, check, check. Let's just go, oh, shark or a dolphin. That's why we keep good eye. Comfortable, fun. Okay, this is noticeable, guys. The mass of this boat is such that I would happily take it into the ocean, do a coastal run, but everyone's going to be comfortable. Look at this heel angle right now. We're coming through at 32 knots. It's totally dry over the bow. Admittedly, we just have boat chop, wind chop. No ocean swells available to us here. But it's very much big boat vibes with small boat convenience. Small boat it is not. And going through our waves now. Yeah. So 18 degrees of dead rise back at the transom, but a really, really nice flare. It's akin to what you would see on a serious offshore American style fishing boat. And I think if you were comparing a European style boat to this, your workload on this boat is going to be a lot less coming off the plane. And the reason, or the point I'm trying to make here, even on the adventure boats, which are quite popular on my channel and I do love them, with the adventure boats, we're going for efficiency through design, and you need to be able to adjust your angle of attack into the waves and cut up those waves and then return to your course. This boat, you don't need to do that. So we've got much more volume and space, both forward and throughout the whole boat. However, the mass, thickness and flare on this hull means that you can set a course, do autopilot or drive manually, and the boat is going to tackle the swells coming from any angle without ruining your guest's day or your day. Then when we consider the protection we've got here, the ability to open and close it, I can pop this sunroof if I just want to do deck here. Okay, let's do hard top, sorry, and open sunroof. Let's see how that feels. All of this is adjustable, which we talked about during the walkthrough. But look at this. Even Short Dan, with his little legs, has got everything I need in terms of armrests. That's comfy. I've actually even got more forward movement should I need, and it's even comfortable to reach forward and operate the throttles, although I would probably do, because we had a little bit of a drive to get over here today, I would probably do a little bit of autopilot cruising and literally drive like this. You cannot get better than that from an enjoyment perspective, but from the noise levels perspective, from the whole shapes perspective, this is a lower workload design because you can steer it, set, forget, and observe. So you can look, as we were today, for dangers. They could be crab pots, they could be animals, they could be other boats. And I think if your intention is to be social, just imagine the extra distractions you're going to have from other people. So when you're looking at a design of boat, the more work the boat requires from you, the less, well, this is what happens to me, so I assume this is for everyone, the less headspace you have available to have fun with your mates. Simple as that. And just communicate with others. Because I get to a point in my brain where I reach maximum workload and then other things start to drop off, and I feel this boat is of such a design that workload is low, and so my fun is high. I hope that makes sense. So we're gonna go from this point back to the marina, and we're gonna show you how it behaves around the dock, because once again, talking about workload, we can buy time with this skyhook. So if you haven't used a skyhook, there's a couple little tricks, which we'll talk about back at the dock, that you can have a think about, but this one integrates with the bow thruster, which has not been possible on many of the boats I've tested before. So that makes life easier, and I would suggest once you're reaching a vessel of this length, because it's pretty big for outboards, that makes a lot of sense. So keep watching, we'll show you what we discover. There's actually not a lot to it when it comes to docking, guys, because we have the skyhook. If you choose, you can come in, activate skyhook, hold position, prepare yourself, and then dock the boat. But because this one incorporates with the thruster, a side push, as you see in the drone shots, will just evenly slide the boat to port. And as I discussed earlier, or in the previous video, midships cleat here, forward midships cleat, and then your bow and stern are all quite accessible, so you're not stressing about these windows getting in the way when you actually need to get access to the cleats. If you were backing up, so your areas to step off the boat, if you were backing into a pen, you'd obviously have these gates open. It's most logical off the back corner, but don't forget you've got this opening gate on this side as well. And look, even I can swing a leg over there, so it's not a super drama from an access point of view. So yeah, all good. I'm gonna stand here where I've got the beautiful sun, and you guys can enjoy the background, and we'll give this video a bit of a wrap up. Very comfortable, nice, luxurious to drive. Marked step above all of the production mass market sort of volume boats that you see me test from Europe. The weight and momentum behind this thing, you feel like you're in a luxury car, okay? So if you want to transit across lots of a variation of sea states, and it could be coming from different directions, you're going to be comfortable. And as we just did now, powering through some swells, getting a little bit of spray up and across the boat, everybody was dry. I even sat back here as a test, and I didn't get any spray in my face. And we left the sunroof open as we were powering through some waves, and the bow flare was sufficient. We did get spray on the windscreens, as we'd expect, but we didn't get any through the roof. So you can have the airflow, you can be comfortable. We just closed the windward window and left the leeward window open. So I'm thinking, any of you guys going home from Roto, I'm absolutely thinking a summer's afternoon on Sydney Harbour, ripping home from Manly, and you got the nor'easter blowing. Same thing up here in Moreton Bay, bit of wind against tide, and you get that short, sharp stuff, and you're throwing water all over the place. Everyone's going to be comfortable. So I think if that's what you're looking for, That's what you're going to find on this. Cruising speeds, a marked difference if you're coming from an inboard. 29 knots, 32 knots, no problems. I'm not so stressed or focused on the top speeds because I'm not sure if that's what it's all about. If you want to just get a race boat, go get a race boat. It's more about having a real comfortable cruise speed, which is going to get you from A to B a lot quicker than perhaps some of the alternatives you were looking at. So what could be some of those alternatives? I do think you could compare this with a Riviera, the 4300 Sports Express, which I've already tested and is on the channel. It's a completely different, or not a completely, it is a somewhat different mission profile. So that's where you need to ask yourself, is the shallow water access, the convenience of the outboards and the speed a difference enough for you to move in this direction or the other direction? But if you are comparing them for quality, it's about the same. They're both very, very good boats. Lots of usable space here, just done a little bit differently. Okay, maybe a little bit more sun friendly on this one, having it opening and closing, whereas the Riv feels a little bit more in the boat. So I think that's one boat to consider. I actually do think the Grady White Freedom 415, I haven't driven that one, but I got on it at Fort Lauderdale late last year. Probably a little bit more on the fishing focused side as opposed to this boat. This feels more like a luxury day boat, but remember, you can set this one up with the fishing pod back aft with the live bait well, so that could be something to consider. It's a bit smaller, but there's some similarities. So the next one I'm thinking is the Chris-Craft Calypso 35. I've driven that boat. My mate's actually got one. It's a better flat water boat. It's really fun in the flat water. It's not as good in the rough water compared to this, and it's a lot smaller, but I understand it's in a similar direction because it's a very high quality build. If you were looking at some of the Euro alternatives, I would say, and I haven't tested this one yet, but I've seen it in the factory, the new Saxdor 460, that is one that would compare in terms of the idea behind this. It is not built to the same quality. Okay, you can't, it's not the same price, but it's also not the same quality. So you can't put them up side by side there. And there's your No DB 43, similar story, similar idea, but you're not gonna get the same sort of drivability that you get on this. It's a great boat for lounging around, but it's not as nice to drive. The Schaefer V44 is another one. That's actually pretty fun to drive. But just consider whether you want full weather protection or whether you're happy with like a more open style. And they've got a few different power options, so that's kind of up to you on that one. So yeah, guys, it's your decision. It's not mine. I'm not selling any of these, so I just want you to take this information and do whatever you wish to do with it. If you want to see some pricing, post some questions, you can do that on my Patreon. Link down below is in the description. Next video will be something similar to this, so you can go and do your own homework and hopefully come to the decision that's right for you. Thanks very much, guys. Coming from beautiful sunny Queensland, it's a really nice place, this. If you haven't been, you got to get here. I'm talking to a lot of you Americans in the comments. Get down here, it is as good as it looks. Thanks again, see you in the next one.